What's going on, guys? JPP Duel here. Hope you guys are enjoying your Wednesday. And for today's matchup, we have an Adventure Springs versus an Adventures Knights, with my opponent playing Adventures Phantom Knights going first. Now, with my current hand, I do not have a way to interact with my opponent's combo aside from the nib in my hand, which I know it's pretty useless at this point because my opponent is going into his full Adventures combo. This means he's going to put the Griffin on the field, and my only hope to push past this is that maybe my opponent only has the Adventures combo and that's it. He cannot push past it. Maybe he's pretty much bricked afterwards. Or if he pushes past it, I have to use my nib so that way one of his Omnis goes away from the field and hopefully it allows me to go into my turn easier. Now my opponent had only the Adventures combo in his hand. He sets down two cards, ends his turn. This is a pretty generic board because a lot of decks do run the Adventures pack, so I still do not know what I'm facing against. Now, I drew into a nib which was pretty useless, and I had the combo starter card in my hand plus the Adventures engine in my hand as well. So I tried to bait out first of all the Griffin Omni through my Adventures engine. So we activate the Enchantress. My opponent had an Ash Blossom in his hand which he uses to negate the Enchantress. Then I negate the Ash with my Call by the Grave again, hoping to bait out the Griffin Omni, which I successfully do. Now this way, we can go into our full combo with our Prank Kids combo starter card that I have in my hand. But I am still worried about the two face down sets my opponent had. Now, one of those face downs could be a Call by the Grave, it could be Imperm, it could be Forbidden Droplet, or it could be any other spell trap card from any of the other deck that played the Adventures engine. Turns out my opponent was playing Phantom Knights and he had the Fog Blade set on the field. So he uses Fog Blade to negate my Doodle Doo Search. And since I did not have a Pandemonium or Pranks in my hand, that means I cannot establish the full combo with my Doodle Doo. Thankfully, I had Thunder Dragon Fusion in my hand. So this way, I could still go into my Butler, and what I decided to do was this was not necessary whatsoever because I could have just kept the Bow Wow Bark on the field and popped the Bow Wow on my opponent's turn to make sure that my Butler would be safe on the field. I would not have needed to worry about card destruction effects. What I'm doing at this point is basically going to be a combo extension, which is going into Predaplant. Now, what I wanted to do with going into Predaplant was that try to bait out this card. My opponent's side of the field was getting highlighted over and over for each play I made, so I'm thinking maybe this card is another Fog Blade, and if I go into Predaplant, he will be forced to Fog Blade the Predaplant to negate the Predaplant, otherwise I will have a DPE on the field. Or, if it's a Forbidden Droplet, he has to use the Forbidden Droplet right this point, otherwise again, we end up with a DPE on the field. So we go into Predaplant, and what do you know? That card turns out to be a Forbidden Droplet. So I managed to bait out the Forbidden Droplet through my Predaplant play, use it to send the Draco back to the graveyard. I mean, it's gonna attach itself back to the token and come on the field again anyways, and I just do a turn change. Now, the reason why I do not go into battle phase is because he's not gonna take any battle damage. First of all, the token's in defense, and I will not be able to kill this token again because he has a Draco back attached to it, plus he has the Faithful Adventurer on the field. I mean, you guys are pretty familiar with this, so I'm not gonna explain why. I just don't do that. So opponent's draw phase, I have to pop my opponent's token. Otherwise, he could search for a Griffin, put it on the field, which would be pretty bad for us. He'll serve as an Omni on the field, and he'll keep staring at us in our face. So I pop the token, then he activates the Adventure, searches for the Water, Enchantress, gets the right, goes into his Fusion Destiny, which I believe he top decked by the way. I know he top decked the Fusion Destiny. He goes into battle phase, kills off my Paraplan Verti Anaconda, ends his turn. Now we know the card in his hand is a Rite of Erismir. I'm not too worried about any hand traps because I know what the card in my opponent's hand is. And the reason why my opponent did not pop the DPE to pop my Butler is because my Butler's floating effect could be activated to put any card, any Prankets card from actually any card aside from a fusion card from the graveyard into the field. Now granted, in his next standby phase, or excuse me, in my next standby phase, he could have popped whatever card I put on the field, but that means if I had a combo starter card in my hand, I would have a guaranteed full combo again. So he saves his DPE, does not pop his DPE. He's trying to save it for when I normal out a monster. Now, mind you, I did not draw into a combo starter card. I drew into a maxi. So what I do, I immediately proceed to go into battle phase. First of all, we have to get rid of his DPE on the field, because I do have a way to search for a combo starter card in my graveyard, which was the Thunder Dragon Fusion. I can banish it, get a Fancies in my hand, go into my full combo afterwards. So that is exactly what my plan was, but for that to succeed, I needed to kill this DPE or have this DPE pop my Butler. That way my Butler's floating effect can activate to get me a combo starter card on the field regardless. My opponent does not do anything, he allows me to kill it. So main phase 2, I activate my Thunder Dragon Fusion from the graveyard, banish it, search for my Fancies, normal it out, and as usual we go into our Prankets combo. Now mind you, this will not be a full combo because our Doodle-Doo and Bow Wow Bark are in the graveyard. So what I'm trying to do right here is trying to put the Bow Wow Bark in the graveyard on the field again. And to do that, I need a Pandemonium in my hand plus 2 Prankets cards. Prankets monster cards, excuse me. So with this Doodle-Doo, I search for a Prankets place because I know I already have the Pranks and Pandemonium in the graveyard. Then I tribute the Doodle-Doo, get the Pranks and Pandemonium in my hand. And with this Prankets place, we will be searching for a Roxy's. Now, since I have a banished fodder in my hand, which is the Nib, I could just go into Rocket Ride with the activation of the Roxy's in the graveyard. That way, it'll grant me 2 more cards on the field, which I can then use to go into my roster. So watch how I do the combo. It's basically a line that you almost never go into, but you can use on your turn 3, 4, 5 plays because it serves as a combo extension line. So right here we activate the Rocket Ride, pull out the Bow Wow plus the Doodle-Doo from the graveyard, put him on the field, and with the Doodle-Doo and the 2 specials I had on the field, the Roxy's and I believe the Lampsies, I can go into a Link 4, which is our roster. This way, if our opponent has any back row set or tries to put any back row set towards the end of his turn, we could just pop it, get rid of it with our roster and be okay with going into our next turn. And we also have the protection from our Bow Wow Bark going into our opponent's turn. So he cannot use the DPE pop to pop my Butler that is on the field, so then he could go into his combo afterwards. Our Butler will be safe from card destruction effects. So draw phase, we do just that. Standby phase, my opponent gets the DPE. He activates the Faithful Adventure to search for a Griffin. Obviously, we are negating that. Do not want that to go through. So I use the Ash Blossom, negate it. And since now he realizes the Faithful Adventure is a pretty useless card on the field, what he decides to do is activate DPE to try to pop my Butler. Now, I'm pretty sure this guy forgot that I did get my Bow Wow Bark pop, so my Prankets monster cards on the field are immune to destruction through card effect. So that DPE doing that is just a misplay. It's pretty, it's inconsequential to us. Then my opponent activates a Jackalope from his hand, to which I chain link Maxi. Now, this is a guaranteed 1 card draw for me because Maxi does resolve. Jackalope is going to end up discarding the right from his hand, specialing itself on the field. He draws into a Maxi, which he normals out on the field, just to activate the Celestial in the graveyard. Activates it, banishes the Dasher, draws into 2. Sadly, he does not draw into anything he needs or he wanted, so he just ends his turn. He cannot go into battle phase, obviously he cannot kill any of my cards. So, from this point on my turn, I draw into a Call by the Grave. My opponent instantly pops my Butler by popping his own Maxi. But this is where, the Butler's floating effect actually was a huge thing. Because it says you can target 1 non-fusion monster in the graveyard, put it on the field. And since we had Predaplant, Birthday Anaconda in the graveyard, why not just choose the Predaplant and put it on the field? Because that way, we could use the Predaplant's active to go into DPE ourselves. So I normal out my Lampsies, go into my combo. and I know I cannot make a full combo happen because most of my combo cards are in the graveyard, and I wanted to kind of play around Nib, I guess. So in case my opponent had a Nib, I mean, I will go past 5 summons, but I decide to put the DPE on the field anyway. So if he wants to Nib me, I can still pop my DPE and play around the Nib afterwards. Seeing that, my opponent just outright scoops. He does not want to play with the DPE and the Roaster on the field with me having access to my combo afterwards as well. That's going to be the end of the game, guys. If you guys do enjoy this kind of videos, please consider hitting the like button, subbing to my channel for more daily prank video uploads, and if you guys are interested in the live version of all of this, I do live stream on Twitch, twitch.tv/jpbduel. Link along with my schedule and my Discord link are going to be in the video description itself for you guys to check out. This is JPBDuel signing off for today. I'll see you all in the next video. Peace!